Give it up for Michael Cudlitz! Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. We were just talking about you.
Thank you. My chair is farting. This feels good. Hey, guys.
Welcome to Florida. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Florida. Fort Lauderdale. Miami adjacent.
Far away from your old stomping grounds of Atlanta.
Yeah, but it's just this crappy weather.
That is very true. That is very true. So, before we open up to this, I always ask this of all my guests. Tell us in your own words, what attracted you to acting?
It's all I ever wanted to do my entire life. So my story is like kind of weird.
We like weird.
Since like the third grade, it's all my parents ever remembered I wanted to do. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to. I mean, I paid my way through school doing construction. And after Band of Brothers, which was in 2000, thank you. I've been able to sort of do for a living what I've loved to do, what I wanted to do my whole life. So I don't feel like I've really had a job from like 2001 till now. Feel very, very fortunate to be able to do what I love to do as my living and support my family doing it, which is not something that a lot of us get to do. I would have been happy had I still done construction, but it wasn't my driving passion. I enjoyed it a lot. I have Post-its stuck to my feet everywhere, but yeah.
That's the only one.
No, I pulled two off on the way walking here.
Oh, well, there you go.
They're multiplying like tribbles.
Ooh, Star Trek reference.
Yeah, like that.
Nice. You're one of us, aren't you?
Kinda.
Okay, all right. All right, speaking of one of us, like I said, our microphone is right up there. If you have a question for our guest, I've already said the rules. Go ahead and let's have it. Microphone over there, ma'am.
Oh, she's like, oh, jeez. All right, I'll walk over there.
Hi, I'm Curly Sue. My son and I worked Ballers. I worked both seasons. My son worked season 1. He was in a scene with you at the baseball stadium.
Was I mean to him?
No.
Okay, good.
But I was wondering, because I didn't work that episode, how was it working the baseball episode with your son and Dwayne the Johnson The Rock?
It was awesome. The kid who played my son was not my actual son.
Right.
But he was terrific. Dwayne was quite possibly one of the most gracious actors I've ever worked with. And I say it that way because he is arguably right now, and at the time, was on the verge of, and right now is probably the most successful actor in the world. And to sort of have that much of a check on himself and to sort of be that excited and that open every day coming to work, it was a joy. It was a joy to see somebody who had attained that level of success and still was cool. Because I sort of have a theory on it. People say that, money and success can turn you into an asshole. And I think that money and success can make you the fully realized asshole you always were. And vice versa. I don't think that changes you. I think that sort of awakens what was always in you. And if you were a good person at heart, those things come to light. Your Steven Spielbergs, your Tom Hankses, those are just genuinely amazing people. Whether they had the success that they had or didn't, they're able to sort of do things with that fame and money. And he has done amazing things with that. So for me, it was fantastic. And I may be going back down. For anyone see the Ballers episode?
Woo!
Yeah.
Episode 9.
All three of you?
I'm a huge Ballers fan.
Well, we may be recreating the pitch on Monday at the Marlins game. So, except hopefully I'm not going to hit anybody. I got to see if I can change my schedule around, but I think I'm going to be here through Monday. So,
cool.
in the acting thing, I feel maybe if you were born into money, you're a little different when you're acting, making money, than if you had to work from nothing. Like The Rock said it's $7. That's why it's $7 productions.
Yep.
Because he worked from nothing.
Yep.
Did you work from nothing?
Pretty much. I think we always have something if we have our family, but yeah, pretty much.
Money-wise.
Yeah.
Because you're awesome. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I love you too.
I love you. You have no idea.
All right, let's get it out of the way. Everybody, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, we love you. 1, 2, 3.
I saw that you didn't say it.
Ow, 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 ow.
Now she's like, is he pointing at me? Or is it the one next to me? Is it?
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Your character Abraham has had probably the most hilarious one-liners on the show, Walking Dead, and we truly do miss the fact that they're gone now. My question is,
They wrote them.
they were all written, there was no improv in some
There was.
fashion?
We would talk. The way they prefer to do it is there's rarely improv. There's some stuff that is truly inspired on the fly. Like Jeffrey had a line in the final thing was, I had said, suck my nuts, and he was like, started going off about, holy shit, did you hear what it, like, so some of that stuff, like, in playing with it, they will do that, but it's hard to improv the stuff with questionable language because there's a balance with the language and the violence in the show. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like a formula of how much of each we can have. So if you use too many shits up on the front end and then you kind of take them away from the guy or gal at the other end, or they're not able to do something later because this is all we have. So it's very, very much mapped out who has what. Now that being said, when we get scripts early on, we can go in and say, hey, here's some suggestions. I think maybe this can be clarified, or we maybe can have more fun in here. And they're always open to that if it makes sense within the story. But pretty much on the day, the things are as written because the time constraints of the schedule, and just the pace that we work at.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Early 2000s is when you said you started the acting, right?
Yeah, you're like the coolest dude in here. And I don't mean that to be a dick. Like he just like walks up, he's like, yo. I'm all like, yo.
Well, I have a BO.
I started acting in 2000, did you say?
Early 2000s is when
No, that's when I was doing enough work to finally let go of the construction. My first acting job was River Runs Through It in 1990. My first professional. I'd done a bunch of theater and student films before that, but my first professional film job was A River Runs Through It.
Awesome. I'm familiar with that film. Essentially, my question is, working with Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg in B.O.B. as Denver Bull, Sergeant Denver Bull, what kind of indoctrination did you have to have the role that you did in B.O.B.? Was it like...
So far as auditioning, or once we got in the role, what did we have to do?
Well, no, I mean, as far as auditioning and what they required, because I know they're very, very strict and stringent in their requirements for their actors. I know that...
They ain't that strict if I got in there.
Well, I guess...
They're like, we got a runner.
Enlighten us. I mean...
We actually, when they were, we'll do two things. We'll talk about the audition process, and then once we got cast, I'll tell you what happened. When we had gotten cast, there was a large group of pretty much anyone within that age range, which would have been, and I was probably I was the oldest person cast at the time when I started doing it. I think I was 35 when I did it. And Neil McDonough, I think, was 33. He's second behind me. But anyone from sort of like mid to late 20s to 17 to mid to late 20s.
I think Fassbender is the one you were talking about. Might have been the only other one that might have been...
No, I think Fassbender's... I'm 52 now. And Fassbender, I think, is probably 6 years younger than me. He was on the older end, but I could be wrong. So somebody look that up. Someone who I'm boring.
Some may call Tom Hanks.
And no, but we had gone in and like I'm sitting across when we're all sitting in the lobby, sitting across from Ricky Schroeder and all the dudes from The Outsiders. They had like a lot of names and all of us who had been working, but nobody knew who we were. And then when we came back for the callbacks, they did the same thing. It was a smaller group, but there were, a bunch of names and a bunch of us who'd been solidly working. And then we finally got cast. And when you as an actor go into an audition like that, you're like, oh, really? Like, I'm auditioning against Rick Schroeder? What the fuck is that? Like, obviously, if I'd cast him, you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing all these people, and then you realize once they cast it, they made a very conscious decision to go with people that were very familiar, but weren't sort of marked by something in their career where you were like, oh, there's Rick Schroeder playing, Winters.
Typecast.
Exactly. Well, or just someone had a lot of baggage with them. Sometimes it works like Donald Sutherland when he comes on and he pops up on screen, you're like, oh, shit. And he hasn't even done anything yet, but he brought his whole career with him, so you're like, it ain't going good. He's mad about something, he's gonna break something, somebody broke him, it's just not, so he brings that with him. They made a choice to cast actors. Oh, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, was the escalator a little slow? This is where I make more friends. See, it really has turned me into a jackass, hasn't it? So when we showed up, we knew that what they wanted us to be was associated. They wanted the American public, or the world, actually at the time, to see us as those men. And for a lot of us, that's what it was. We became those guys. You didn't have to sort of take that step of, oh, it's Rick Schroeder. No, he's playing Winters. It was Damian Lewis, who you were familiar with. He was a terrific actor, but that's what he's known for now as one of the things that ignited his career. Once we were all cast, we went off and we did boot camp. We did a boot camp, yeah. And we had a 2.5-week boot camp that we've done USO tours and spoke to troops, and we always say, we don't compare the two. Ours was a very accelerated, just a taste of what everybody went through. But it was brutal, and it was brutal because we were older than people who typically go through it, and it was brutal because we couldn't be thrown out. Like, no matter how crappy you were, no matter how hard it was or how much it hurt, you had to come back. You couldn't get tossed out. You couldn't fail to the point where you were eliminated from the program. You had to show up the next day. And for some of us, it was harder than others. I'm at the time, my kids were 3. I have twin boys. They were 3 years old. At the time, I'd been married for 10 years. I had a career at home. I had a house, family, and then you got some guy screaming at you. Because I don't know how this works. Military, when they break you down, it's like Hell Week in football. They break you down to nothing and telling you all the things that you don't have, and you're being told you're a piece of crap, and you get on the floor and you're like, a piece of crap? I'm like, I'm doing all right. I got like a house and a family and a happy marriage. And, shut up, you piece of shit! No, I'm not. So you kind of go, okay, I'm a piece of shit. Okay, you're right. So it's a harder journey. There's more to break down when you're doing that to someone who's older than there is for someone who is younger and kind of wants to be broken down to kind of start over. It's like kind of like, all right, let's go. So it was interesting psychological journey for all of us, but we're a tight group. We still, to this day, we're 17 years later, and we every year meet at my house for barbecue in first week of April.
Yeah.
And whoever's in town is there. So it's
Nice.
a group between 40 and 75 every year.
Would you do it again?
Yeah. Except I'd be the guy in charge telling everybody to shut up and get out.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Melanie, and I have a question relating back to Walking Dead.
Okay.
My question for you as Michael, and then as Abraham, what do you think of Eugene right now over in over dealing with the Saviors?
Abraham would probably punch him in the face again, but ultimately you understand because he's one of the characters in my opinion that is still being completely true to himself. And if there's a zombie apocalypse, at the very, very end, there's going to be two things left: roaches and Eugenes. He's a survivor. He just saw the guy who protected him for the last 2.5 years get his brain smashed in. The strongest, in his mind, the most strongest capable person that he has ever seen in his life got taken out. What chance does he have? He can choose to die, but Eugene hasn't necessarily been known for the noble choice. He's like, I want to live. He's like, everything might suck, but I choose life, And this is how I live right now. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not here if that's for me.
My Chevy could beat your Audi in a race.
No, it couldn't, dude. I told you at the
We already had
table.
this discussion.
My Audi would smoke your Chevy Cruze.
My question is, do you miss the set of The Walking Dead, and which cast member do you miss the most?
Well, I see all the cast members more now
Working with.
doing convention. Well, yeah, but we see each other more now because the cast is so big. We saw each other rarely because we were so spread apart. But working with, I loved working with. It's kind of a tricky question because I had really great experiences with everybody. I had going back to when I first came on the show when me and Andy got into that fight in the church. It's one of the most exciting scenes I ever shot. The crew literally thought we were going to beat the shit out of each other every take. And Andy and I were just having a blast playing off each other. I love working with Steven. I love working with Josh. Christian. Saw her grow as an artist and a woman on the show. It was amazing to be part of that. Sonequa is phenomenal, tremendously giving actor. They're all amazing people and all very, very different. So it's kind of hard to put, to single out one thing.
Love it.
So, yeah.
My Chevy's better.
So I keep thinking that, buddy.
Well, don't you look lovely?
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. Could you give, my daughter is 14 years old. She loves acting and talented. I'm scared. Can you give her an advice?
Why are you scared?
Because I'm a mother and she's a teenager and,
I knew the answer to that. I just wanted to say it.
So what advice can you tell her? She's over there with the horns.
She's just with
The one with the little one over
the
here with the camera?
horns.
Okay. Stand up, girl with the horns.
Hello, girl
Hi.
with horns. Hello, girl with horns, doing specifically what he said not to do in the beginning of this. It's okay. It's all right. I know this will be
Asking
on
for advice
Facebook.
is a question.
No, I know. Don't change sides now. Oh. My advice to you is: do you love your daughter?
Oh my God.
Is she smart?
She's like a Barbie with a brain.
See, have you done a good job?
I think so. She's
Okay, so you need to stop worrying.
Okay.
That's my first advice
Okay.
about that. You need to follow your heart. You need to follow your dreams, and you're not at a place in your life where you need to give up on it. You do need to think of alternative plans, backup plans, but don't give up what you want to do. You need to follow what you want to do through to the end because it may open up other things. And that means go to school for what you want to do, or as you get older, if you choose to go to college somewhere. I don't know how old you are, so I hope I'm not insulting you. She's like, I'm 32.
14.
All right. So you're 14, so you're going to go, you live in in Fort Lauderdale area?
Key Largo.
Okay. So at some point you're gonna as you get older, you're gonna need to move where the work is, where there's more work, which is typically a larger city. But keep your eye on what's going on now. Like right now, there's a tremendous amount of work going on in Atlanta. So people who would say for acting, you need to go to New York or LA, I'd say if I was a young actor and I was, in my early 20s, I'd go to Atlanta right now. More film and television was produced in Atlanta this past year than in Hollywood.
She was in Bloodline in #1 chapter in the
Okay.
Keys.
All right. So you don't need my advice.
No, but as your actor, like your spirit is like.
She is too. She's like me in the 90s. Except I didn't have horns. And I wasn't 14.
Thank you.
That may or may not help. It's hard to give advice like that, but honestly, just follow your heart and don't. If you can be talked out of it, you should be talked out of it. And by that I mean if there's something else that you can do that you love that will make you happy, and you would do it, go do it. There's so many things that are easier to do, and if you can be happy, truly happy doing them, that's game over. But if you can't be talked out of it, that's when you know that that's what you're meant to do, or at least what you're meant to pursue. And that path will take you where it's supposed to take you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For you, Mama.
Oh, she got a Tootsie Roll. Look at that.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
My question is, since you said you've done theater in the past, I was wondering now if you do anything with writing or script writing, or if there's anything that you've created in the past at all?
I do not write at all. I can't. The idea of taking something from nothing and putting it on a page, I'm in awe of that. People who do that, I think it's amazing.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off at all.
No, it's okay.
So is it more just like you rather see what's given to you and then just display it yourself instead?
Well,
of
that leads into what I do though. What I do know though is when I read something, I can tell you if there's something wrong in it, where it can be fixed or restructured, or if there's problems in a story. I feel like over the years I've become a much better storyteller, even though my skill set doesn't lie in creating something from nothing. When I see something that's written, when I get a script, for example, I can call and talk about the script in ways where I think we can work on the script if it needs work, or if there's a scene that's not working, I can typically tell what the problem is, where the energy of the scene stops and why. So what I'm hopefully going to do is move into directing, and I've been working towards that the last few years, and we'll see where that takes me. And I'm producing stuff now, so we have some stuff in development. We'll see what happens.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Chloe,
Hello, I'm not Chloe.
and I was wondering how I can learn to let go of the fear of never being good enough in order to get my life back.
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one. You can. I'll take that so far as, I don't know whatever level you're working at, but the fact that you're able to sort of stand at a microphone and articulate it in front of a group of 300 people, that's pretty awesome just in itself, and that's not like a small thing. I think we all suffer from I'm not good enough. I mean, my whole career I've been waiting for somebody to sort of figure out that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing and just tell me to go do something else. And that's like, I laugh about it, we all laugh about it, but it's true. And every job you think you have, you think is going to be your last job. But you just stay at it and follow, pursue things that you love doing and know that you are good enough. We all are, everyone is. And don't listen to, the haters, but it's true. Like, fuck the haters. Like, you got to do your thing. If you have a good support. When I was in college, we had a guy who came in and talked to us about no, that's fine. I let him run around and have fun. Or her. I love that. We were moving into the marketplace, and he had said to us, surround yourself with positive people who are successful at doing what you want to do, because that's the story you want to hear over and over in your head. You want to hear the story of the successes. He says, don't surround yourself, because actors are like the worst. I mean, it's like there's an old joke in the stage. It's like, how do you get an out-of-work actor to complain? You give them a job. And it's true, because like they bitch like all the time, no matter what, when they're working, when they're not working. It's like, so you need to put yourself in a position where you are surrounded by positive things that are that feed into what you want to do, you know, and get yourself out of the negative space, if there is a negative space, with the negative people or people who enjoy wallowing in the negativity, you know, and just make a difference. If you think there's a problem in your life and you think that you need to make changes, you probably know what those things are, and you just need to act on them.
Okay, thank you.
I feel like I became dad all of a sudden.
We got a Dr. Phil theme.
I'm going to call my kid. It's all the things I should be saying to my kids that never. No, I'm kidding. I've said all these things to my kids, and I believe it. I do think you are in charge a lot of what happens in your life. You know, obviously outside things affect us, but you're in charge of how you handle those outside things that come in and how you process them. So I don't know. I'm just making shit up. Come on.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Sophia. My question for you is, if Abraham were still, on the show, continuing, where you would like to see him now in the season, or like where you would like to see him go from, like if he were still there.
There's not a big journey. I don't have some big picture. What I would have loved to have seen, and I told this to Kirkman in an interview that I did with him recently, I would have loved to have seen Abraham, and I think we talked about this, these guys up front, in All Out War. I would have loved to have seen Abraham operating as a full-blown soldier in wartime with living humans. And, when we were talking about it at the table, see Abraham and Sasha do some kind of mission where he's lined out the whole thing and she's just up on the high post, just popping them, just taking them out. That would have been like insane, but we'll never get to see that. And I would have loved to have seen him run and, efficiently take care of and have some impact from a military standpoint. And then I think the loss of him would have been so much larger because no one in the group is really equipped. No one in either group really, but neither group is an army. They're an army of people, but they're not an effective army. And it would have been nice to see him sort of hone the group a little more and make them effective from a military standpoint, and to see what that would have done during All Out War.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mike. I'm Alex. Probably every 2 years or so, I watch Band of Brothers from beginning to end. I've loved it, and I just gotta say thank you so much for that. You're part of it.
Thank you very much.
Is there any stories of veterans that you'd like to share with us?
Not really. No story. They were amazing men and women in their families that we learned all their stories from. The thing that we're most proud of as a group is that we sort of let this generation or representation of a generation, core sample, slice of this generation, sort of share with their families something that they weren't able to share. It's the one time I think in history where evil was so specific and everyone agreed on it, even if people didn't agree in anything else. They agreed that Nazism, bad.
All the Negans were in uniform.
Yeah, and except for the people who wanted to be Nazis, and if there's some in the audience, no offense, but pretty much majority of the world agreed Hitler, bad. So that was one time where everyone sort of came home and was celebrated during war. They were all given, low interest loans, paid for schools, housing. There were all these things that they came home to. The consequence of that is that you had a whole generation that buried this thing that they did. And as they got older, a lot of them had problems, and nobody knew why. And the families were able to sort of process that, and this was a tool that helped them and the extended families process that stuff, and it's wonderful to be part of something that has that big of an effect, and it reaches beyond entertainment. Entertainment is awesome and it's necessary. It's that people escape, and they use it to kind of forget about what's going on in their life for the moment and kind of escape into this fantasy, and whether it be, a drama or a comedy, they lose themselves in it for a while. So entertainment's fantastic, but to be able to have something that actually changes lives and affects people in that way is amazing to be part of. And I don't minimize what we do again with the entertainment, because I've had interactions with people where our show, and pretty much every show that I've done, has done that to a smaller degree with specific people in different circumstances. People identify with these characters that they've come to love or hate, and they affect their lives. And it's pretty amazing to be part of that. So far as the specific vets, not really any stories that I would be willing to share, because that was a very private thing. But generally speaking, it was amazing to be part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby. My question is, how was your overall experience being a part of the cast in The Walking Dead, and do you wish that you can continue playing Abraham?
I had a great time playing Abraham. I had a great time with the cast. It was an amazing experience out in Georgia. We are definitely a family out there. When I came on the show, I was a fan of the show beforehand. I saw some of my favorite characters die. I think any actor that comes on the show after season 3 and finds out they're going to die and is surprised is an idiot. Just like what did you think you were coming into? And especially now, really? You're surprised? So I knew that when I came on, Scott Gimple said that he wanted to get a little closer back to the linear narrative of the show as it relates to following the comic. So I knew that Abraham had a shelf life. I also knew that Robert Kirkman was not happy with the way that Abraham died in the comics. So I knew that it was going to be different, but I knew that it was probably going to take up around the same space of time. So, do I wish I was still there? It was creative and fun, and the people were awesome, but my time on it was finished. Abraham told his story, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adam. My question is, over 7 seasons, we've seen a lot of really cool walkers and a lot of really cool takedowns. I was wondering if you had any favorites.
I forget which episode it was. I do have a favorite one of mine because it was particularly inhuman and disconnected. It was early on, I think it was in season 4, where Abraham comes across a van, and we're going to take the van. It's when is it the van that we get? That I fall asleep in the back of? I think it's so it would have been like episode 10 or 11, something like that.
Sounds right.
Season 4, right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
And this walker's in the van, and I open up the van. She sticks her head halfway out. I slam the van on her neck or shoulder just to keep her in place, stab her in the head, open up the van, and then I literally pick her up by the scruff of her collar and by her belt, and sort of toss her like a bag of leaves out of the van. And I remember doing it the first time, and I told her what we're doing. There were pads, and it was all worked out. But the first time I did it, the camera guys in rehearsal looked, and they were just like, "What the fuck?" Because it was just so casual, and he literally just tossed her, and it was crappy. It was just like a crappy way to toss somebody, and I just thought that, to me, that summed up how he had disconnected. So for me, that's one of the most fun that I have done. There's been a ton of walkers and work that Greg and his team have done over the years that I loved, what they did with them, the stuff that's on fire, the stuff in the water, the well walker, just on and on and on. So I don't know if I can separate what my favorite walker or walker kill was, but that one in particular I enjoyed. And I enjoyed the melee at the construction site, because he just got to go kind of crazy, and it was fun.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
So I was wondering, I know when I'm watching The Walking Dead, I get really emotionally invested, and sometimes I ugly face cry, I'm in there with you guys. So I'm wondering, when you know that it's your time to go, and for even people from the past, is there something like that you guys, like a last hoorah, goodbye, just get a little, I don't know, saying goodbye to each other? Is that hard, or knowing that you're going to go, or?
We do, and it's been talked about. We do kind of. You guys better have a good excuse to leave. Wow, amazing that many people have to pee at the same time. Oh, brutal. What was I saying? Oh, saying goodbye. Saying goodbye. It's kind of like that. We kind of make a joke about it and we make light of it when inside we're crying. Bastards. It's more like a wake, like an Irish wake, where we celebrate the time there. And every one of them is different because people have been on the show for different lengths of time. It's a very intimate, private thing, but there is this, like, we call it a ceremony. There's an event that takes place when people leave the show. And it's nice. It's a celebration of the time there, and then also saying goodbye. So, because we are out in the middle of nowhere in the sense of where we all live. It's only two major cast members or series regulars that lived in Georgia before the show. Everyone else we fly in and make a life there. So.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. How much of a heads up did you get knowing that you were going to be departing?
I found out in August of 2015, which would have been like a year and a half before you guys saw it. But in that August, they were debating whether they were going to do it at the end of season 6 or the beginning of 7. So it would have either found out in August, so it would have either happened in that November or the next May. And it wound up happening the next May. So we found out in August, it happened in May. You guys saw it the following October. So a year and a half for you guys. That's a year and a half of lying my ass off.
You sat on that for a while.
Yeah, when I was here last year, I was not able to do a panel, actually, because when you're on the show, you can't. That's why Josh and Chandler and no one else is with us. Because when you're on the show, we can't do panels. But at the time, I was officially still on the show, and you guys didn't know yet. But everybody who met me last year in Miami, I was lying. So.
What a wonderful lie it was.
There's nothing wonderful about it. Shut up. What?
Go ahead, young lady. What you got?
If you could choose to be on any other show now, what show would you be on?
Well, if it was just starting Game of Thrones. But it's almost over, so I wouldn't want to go on that because I'd probably die next week horribly. Fall off a dragon. Should have cinched up a little bit more. Maybe the Westworld? Because it's just starting, so the possibilities are, or American Gods. I got to go say hey to him. Yeah. So, yeah. What else?
I'd like to see you on Longmire.
Oh, I was almost on Longmire.
Really?
Yeah. They were doing Longmire at the same time that we were doing Southland.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Longmire. I liked the sort of lyrical way that they told stories. To me, it felt very true to a Western. And there aren't any, even though Westworld is Western-like,
it's
not really a Western.
Yeah. What I like about Longmire is it's hard to do the strong silent type without it being a caricature, but they do in that show so well.
Yeah, no, and he's the guy.
But we're here to talk about your shows.
No, we talk about whatever we want.
TARDIS young lady.
I'm the only one up here with you. We can talk about whatever we want.
Well, the young lady in the TARDIS dress has a question.
All right.
Hi, I'm Michelle. So this question was touched on just a little bit, but if you were to still continue this the show, what direction do you think you and Sasha would have gone in? I think you guys would have been a really powerful couple, like Rick Schoen. So, where you think?
We'd have a lot of pancakes running around. That's my guess. Yeah, that's about it. No, it's kind of hard to say like where because we don't even know where the show is headed now. We don't know what's going to happen in the season opener. You know, I mean, like war has been declared. You know, with a very large group of people. So we're going to see how that all pans out. I do think they would absolutely be together. And because of what's going on, would probably put the pancake plans on hold. Because they knew that they would have to take, you know, leadership roles in leading all these people. Because now we have everyone who's joined, you know. So if they were there still, you have to figure out how all these communities are going to come together to fight effectively as a unit against a highly effective unit that, as Abraham said early on, you know, they have numbers, you know, and these guys know how to do things. They have heavy equipment, they have numbers, they're trained, they work as a group. We are, was it 4 different? Well, I guess the trash people are not technically on our side right now, are they? No. Yeah. So they're not, but we'll see. But, you know, so we got a few communities that have come together now, and we're going to see what happens. But I don't know where they would be in that. I know that they would be obviously high up on the leadership totem pole, but and then I think they would be doing it together.
Thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
So, with Abraham's really tragic backstory with his wife and child, since you come from like a very happy family life, like still married to the same woman, 2 kids, how did his backstory affect you playing the character?
When I first got hired, I knew that the TV show didn't necessarily follow the graphic novel specifically, so I asked Scott, did he want me to look up Abraham's backstory, you know, because is it going to be helpful or is it going to be not helpful at all? Mm-hmm. And he said, absolutely, the specifics of it might change, but the general weight of the emotional toll that he had paid and then the weight of what he was carrying around would be similar. It wound up being almost identical in the show as it was in the graphic novel, although some things aren't explained in the TV show, but if you know the graphic novel, you get a little bit more. For those who don't know, basically the group, Abe goes on a scavenging run, and the remainders of the group, the men in the group that are left with his wife and his kids, basically sexually abuse his wife and his daughter and force the son to watch. He comes back and literally dismembers these guys with his bare hands, and you know the old adage of I'll rip your arm off and beat you to death with it. Well, he basically does that in the graphic novel.
Yeah. And
his family watches him do that, and they sort of go, dude, you're crazier than the people who just assaulted us. So I like to say they saw daddy at work and you don't want to see daddy at work. So they split on him, and because he was not there to protect him, they get eaten. The mother and the son get eaten so badly there wasn't enough left to come back, and the daughter he has to shoot her in the face. So that's what happens in the graphic novel, and that's what we sort of brought to life and I think effectively, because I think there's more there for those that have the graphic novel. You can see everything was hinted at that was done, but sometimes you don't, what happens in your mind is more tragic than what you don't have to see everything, laid out. What was the question?
Because you come from such a happy
home so how did I do that? Yeah, well, I went home and no. That's what we do. It's when we're kids, and you throw a tantrum for your parents. You do whatever you do to try to get what you want. As actors, we still have those skills to sort of recreate that. I don't, thankfully, have never experienced that kind of loss in my life. nothing even close to that. I don't think most people have. Thankfully, some have, obviously, have had trauma in their lives, but that is, there's not really zombies, so we can all agree on that, right? Right? Come on. Oh, that says the furry.
And unfortunately, we lost. I'm afraid we have hit our time mark.
Oh no, we gotta do these two guys.
All right, we'll do the skeleton guy. Make it a quick one.
Hey, what's up, Mike? My name's John.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I've been watching your show for quite a few years.
Probably like 7?
Yeah, and it's funny to say, I just got out of prison, and that's the #1 show in prison.
Awesome.
Yeah, people are lined up to watch it, And I'd like
well, fucking congratulations for getting out, man.
That's
absolutely.
Thank you. And the question is, I see you. You have a lot of coldness as your character, Abraham. How do you channel that? Can you channel it from something personal, or do you just, as an actor, you have that programmed into you?
I just think I have the capacity to be a dick. Like, sorry to all you. See, I came into this one going, I'm not going to curse. Like, I was like, you're not going to curse the whole time. You're going to be good. There's little kids here. You're going to be good. I can't. Sorry about that, little kids and parents. But yeah, no, it's again, I don't know. I mean, it's something that I am able to do. I think if you're able to sort of put yourself in those circumstances and what you need to do, not to like spin like what you've just been through on you, but there are times when you say, I've never been in prison, but I've seen it on TV. So I'm going to extrapolate.
Nothing like on TV.
No, but I would guess that there are times where you have to act a certain way to get either what you want or to protect yourself or to project something else so certain circumstances don't happen, I would guess.
Manipulate the situation.
But it's just like in high school, when you manipulated situations, when you have different groups of people, different cliques, what you want to perceive, it's like you can make people you get dressed up really nice, put on glasses. No offense to people who wear glasses, and sit up in the front row and pay attention. And for the first week, if you don't have to open your mouth, they're going to think you are smart.
Yeah.
It just is. There are things you can do. I mean, you're going to get caught if you ain't. Like, if you're dumb and you do all that stuff, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to really be paying attention. But if you're not, if you have a certain skill set, if I show up in a work overall and I show up at the body shop, and I walk around and go pick up stuff like I know what I'm doing, people are like, oh, that dude works here.
Yep.
Until you have to fix a car. And then they know. So there's behaviors that you can adapt into and figure out. So I don't know. I think it's just human behavior.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Killing you guys, aren't I?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll let you do it.
All right,
ladies and gentlemen, that is our time.
All right,
A round of
sorry, dude.
applause for our guest.
All right.
Guys, I appreciate it.